The bright screens of Earth Defense Fleet's main control room lit up with strange energy readings. Captain James Walker stood before them, his tired eyes fixed on the massive energy signatures approaching the solar system. He hadn't slept in 24 hours, not since their deep space sensors first detected the anomaly beyond Pluto's orbit. "Sir, the signals are getting stronger," said Bill, the young radar officer. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted the controls. The room fell silent as more officers gathered around the main display. Nobody had seen anything like this before. The emergency meeting with world leaders had ended just an hour ago. They all knew this was it, humanity's first contact with alien life. But none of them expected it to happen like this. The energy readings were off the charts, suggesting technology far beyond anything humans had created. Walker took a deep breath and straightened his uniform. After 15 years of service, he never thought he'd be the one to make first contact. The backup systems were ready, and Earth's experimental defense grid hummed quietly in orbit, hidden from whoever was approaching. The main screen crackled with static. Everyone in the room held their breath. Through the interference, a face appeared. At least, they thought it was a face. The alien had gray-blue skin that seemed to shimmer like metal, with 4 bright eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its voice came through the speakers, translated by their AI systems. "Primitive species of Earth, this is High Commander Vex of the Dominion Empire. Your solar system lies in our path of expansion. You have 2 Earth rotations to surrender your world and accept your place as our subjects. Resistance will result in your extinction." Walker's jaw tightened. He thought about his daughter back home, reading her science books and dreaming about the stars. He thought about all the children on Earth, about humanity's long journey from caves to spaceflight. They hadn't come this far to bow down to bullies from the stars. "This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Fleet," he replied, keeping his voice steady. "We're a peaceful species, but we will defend our home. Perhaps we could discuss this and find a solution that benefits both our peoples." The alien commander's upper eyes narrowed. "You mistake this for a negotiation. Your species is barely capable of reaching your own moon. Your technology is primitive, your weapons laughable. We've conquered 1,000 worlds. You are nothing." The transmission cut off, leaving the control room in tense silence. Walker turned to his crew, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also something else. Determination. Humanity had faced extinction before, from ice ages to plagues to their own nuclear weapons. Each time, they'd survived and grown stronger. "Send word to all Earth defense stations," Walker ordered. "Tell them to activate the quantum shield grid." He smiled slightly, thinking about the alien commander's arrogant words. The Dominion had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this day for decades. Deep beneath the mountains and oceans of Earth, secret facilities powered up. The quantum shield technology, developed in secret through international cooperation, was humanity's greatest achievement. They'd known they weren't alone in the universe, and they planned accordingly. In homes and cities across Earth, people gathered around their screens as the news broke. An alien empire had come to conquer them. But instead of panic, something unexpected happened. Humans from every country, every background, began working together. Old enemies shared resources and intelligence. Scientists shared their research freely. The Dominion's massive ships appeared near Mars, their hulls gleaming with strange symbols. They expected to find a scared, primitive species ready to surrender. Instead, they found humanity united and ready for the greatest fight in their history. In the control room, Walker watched the alien fleet approach. "Send a message to all Earth forces," he said. "Tell them what my father always told me. The bigger they are, the harder they fall." The crew smiled at his words, fear turning to determination. The aliens thought humans were primitive because they hadn't spread across the stars. They didn't understand that humanity had spent its time building something else, an unbreakable will to survive. The Dominion ships struck Mars colony first. Their energy weapons lit up the red sky, but instead of destroying the dome cities, they hit an invisible wall. The quantum shields held strong, glowing with a soft blue light as they absorbed each blast. Inside the main colony, Commander Anna Miller watched with a tight smile. The aliens had fallen for their trap. All ships, move into attack positions, she ordered through the secure channel. Earth's experimental stealth ships, hidden in Mars' deep valleys, powered up their engines. These ships were small, but they carried humanity's most powerful weapons. The aliens didn't even know they were there. The Dominion commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. Your shields are impressive, humans, but they will fail. No primitive species can stand against our power. As if to prove his point, 3 more massive alien ships appeared from light speed, their weapons charging. Miller looked at the picture of her son on her control panel. He was back on Earth, probably watching the battle through the news feeds. Let's show them what this primitive species can do, she said to her crew. Launch Operation Slingshot. 30 stealth ships rose from Mars' surface, completely invisible to the Dominion sensors. They had studied the alien energy signatures for hours, finding a weak spot in their shield design. The human ships carried special missiles, designed to pass through the aliens' defensive screens like they weren't even there. The first alien ship never saw the attack coming. The missiles phased through their shields and struck their engines. The massive ship's power failed, its lights flickering out as it drifted helplessly in space. The other Dominion ships turned their weapons wildly, trying to hit enemies they couldn't see. Second wave, attack their command ship, Miller ordered. She watched as more stealth ships launched their strikes. The aliens had expected an easy victory over primitive humans. Instead, they faced an enemy that had spent years preparing for this very fight. The battle for Mars lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 4 Dominion ships floated dead in space, and the others had retreated. The cost was high. Humanity lost 8 stealth ships and their brave crews, but Mars' colony still stood. More importantly, they had proved that humans could fight back. Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread quickly. People celebrated in the streets, but military leaders knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion would be back, and they would be angry. In his massive command ship, the Dominion High Commander watched the battle recordings again and again. How had these primitives developed such advanced technology? Their ships seemed to appear from nowhere. Their weapons passed through the strongest shields in the galaxy, and their defensive screens absorbed everything thrown at them. Send word to the invasion fleet, he growled to his officers. Tell them to bring the planet crackers. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. On Mars, Commander Miller walked through the colony's main dome, checking on her people. Engineers were already studying the disabled alien ships, learning their secrets. She stopped at the colony's observation window, looking at the Earth glowing blue and white in the distance. Commander, a young officer ran up to her, holding a datapad. We found something interesting in the alien ship's computers. They've conquered other worlds before, but they've never lost a first battle. Ever. Miller nodded slowly. Then they better get used to losing. Humanity doesn't give up easily. She turned to her command staff. Send everything we learned to Earth, and get our damaged ships repaired. The real war is just beginning. In orbit around Earth, Captain Walker received Mars colony's data. The quantum shields had worked better than anyone hoped, and the stealth ships had proved their worth. But the Dominion would adapt. They would come back stronger. He looked at the latest sensor readings. More alien ships were gathering at the edge of the solar system. Bigger ones this time. But humanity had more surprises waiting. The aliens thought Earth was primitive because they looked at their technology. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or shields. It was their ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win. Dr. Thomas Reed hadn't slept in 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered his lab desk at the underground Earth Defense Research Facility. He stared at his computer screen, running the same tests over and over. Something wasn't adding up about the alien technology they'd captured, and he knew he was close to finding out what it was. The door opened, and his assistant Mike walked in with more coffee. "You should get some rest, Doc," Mike said, placing the cup next to a pile of data readings from the Mars battle. "You can't solve alien mysteries if you pass out." Reed shook his head, his eyes never leaving the screen. "Look at these readings," he pointed to a graph. "Every piece of Dominion technology produces this strange radiation. Their weapons, their ships, even their communication devices. But why?" He pulled up another screen showing medical reports from the Mars battle. Something had been bothering him about those reports. Human soldiers who had boarded the disabled alien ships survived longer in damaged sections than the aliens themselves. At first, everyone thought it was just human determination, but Reed suspected there was more to it. "Run the simulation again," he told the computer. "But this time, compare the radiation levels to Earth's magnetic field." His hand shook as he typed in the commands. 20 years of studying physics had taught him to trust his gut when something seemed odd. The computer beeped. Both Reed and Mike stared at the results in silence. Then Reed started laughing. "That's it. That's why they think we're primitive." He jumped up from his chair, suddenly full of energy. "Get Captain Walker on the line. He needs to see this now." An hour later, the facility's meeting room was packed with military leaders and scientists. Reed stood at the front, pointing to his diagrams. "The Dominion's entire empire is built on this specific type of radiation. Their bodies have evolved to use it. Their technology needs it to work properly. But Earth's magnetic field naturally blocks most of it. What does that mean in simple terms?" Walker asked, leaning forward in his chair. "It means we're radiation resistant," Reed explained excitedly. "Humans evolved on a planet that naturally shields us from the radiation they depend on. That's why our soldiers lasted longer on their ships. That's why we can adapt their technology so quickly. Our bodies aren't affected by the radiation that powers it." Commander Miller, who had returned from Mars, spoke up. "So their greatest strength is actually a weakness against us?" Reed nodded. "Exactly. And there's more. The quantum shields we developed. They work so well because they're naturally in tune with Earth's magnetic field. We stumbled onto the perfect defense against their weapons without even knowing why it worked so well." The room burst into excited conversations. Walker raised his hand for silence. "How do we use this information? The Dominion is still bringing a massive fleet to attack Earth." Reed smiled. "Their ships need this radiation to function at full power. Earth's magnetic field already weakens them slightly. If we can amplify our planet's magnetic field." He let the sentence hang in the air. "We could disable their entire fleet," Miller finished, her eyes wide with understanding. For the next 2 days, every scientist on Earth worked on Reed's discovery. They found ways to strengthen the quantum shields using the planet's natural magnetic field. Engineers modified their weapons to disrupt the aliens' radiation-dependent systems. Earth's defense grid was updated with the new technology. The Dominion fleet approached Earth, confident in their superior numbers. They didn't know that humans had discovered their greatest weakness. They didn't understand that the planet they saw as primitive had given humanity the perfect protection against their advanced technology. In his lab, Reed finished working on a new device, a magnetic pulse weapon that could completely shut down Dominion ships. He looked at an old photo on his desk, showing him as a young boy watching the stars through a telescope. Back then, he dreamed of meeting aliens. Now he had found a way to beat them. "Sometimes," he told Mike as they packed up their equipment, "being primitive isn't such a bad thing. We survived on Earth because we learned to adapt to its challenges. The Dominion never had to adapt. That's why they'll lose this war." The facility's alarm system started blaring. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. But now humanity had more than just courage and determination on their side. They had science that proved they were stronger than anyone, even themselves, had imagined. Admiral Robert Wilson stood in the darkness of an asteroid belt, watching his small fleet of ships power down to avoid detection. The massive Dominion supply ships would pass through this area soon. They wouldn't expect an attack here, so far from Earth. That's exactly why Wilson had chosen this spot. All ships dark and quiet. His communications officer whispered, though there was no need to whisper in space. Old habits died hard. Supply fleet will be here in 10 minutes. Wilson smiled in the dim light of his command center. The Dominion had learned to detect Earth's stealth ships, but they hadn't learned all of humanity's tricks. His fleet had painted their ships with the same dark material as the asteroids. In the darkness of space, they looked like just more rocks. Remember, he sent a final message to his crews: hit their engines first, then their communication arrays. We take what we can and disappear before their warriors arrive. The Dominion supply ships appeared right on schedule. 5 massive vessels carrying fuel, weapons, and resources for their main fleet. They moved slowly, confident that no one would dare attack them this far out in space. Now, Wilson ordered. His ships pushed off from the asteroids, using minimal power. They looked like rocks drifting in space until they were right next to the supply ships. The Dominion didn't even raise their shields. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. Wilson's ships struck with perfect timing, their modified weapons cutting through the supply ships' weak spots. Instead of destroying the ships, human boarding teams rushed in through the holes. They had learned that Dominion supplies were almost as valuable as their technology. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "all 5 ships captured. Minimal resistance from the crew." They weren't expecting warriors on what they thought was a safe supply run. Wilson nodded. This was the 3rd successful raid this week. While the Dominion massed their main fleet for a big attack on Earth, humanity was bleeding them dry with small attacks like this. Every captured supply ship meant enemy troops would run low on fuel and supplies. Every stolen piece of technology helped humans understand their enemies better. Back on their hidden base in the asteroid belt, Wilson watched teams unload their captured goods. They had taken enough fuel to power Earth's defenses for a month, weapons that could be modified for human use, and most importantly, data crystals full of Dominion fleet movements. "Admiral," a young soldier ran up to him. "You need to see what we found on their computers. The Dominion is getting desperate. These supply runs are their last attempt to gather enough resources for a final attack on Earth." Wilson walked through the captured ship, looking at the alien technology they'd taken. A year ago, it would have seemed impossibly advanced. Now his engineers could take it apart and improve it within days. Humans learned fast when they had to survive. "Send word to all our raiding fleets," he ordered. "Tell them to step up their attacks. If the Dominion wants a final battle, we'll make sure they fight it with empty fuel tanks and broken weapons." The next day, 3 more raiding parties struck Dominion supply lines. Some attacked from hidden bases on moons and asteroids. Others pretended to be destroyed ships, drifting in space until enemies came close. One team even painted their ships to look like Dominion vessels, copying the enemy's signals to sneak into their bases. In his flagship, the Dominion High Commander received more bad news. Half his supply lines were cut. His troops were running low on resources. The humans he had called primitive were fighting like ghosts, striking from nowhere and disappearing before he could catch them. "How?" he demanded from his officers. "How do they keep surprising us? Their technology was nothing compared to ours." The answer was simple, though the aliens couldn't understand it. Humans had spent their history fighting each other, learning to win even when outnumbered and outgunned. They had thousands of years of military knowledge, from ancient armies to modern warfare. The Dominion relied on their advanced technology. Humans relied on their minds, their courage, and their determination to win at any cost. Wilson looked at the latest reports from his raiding fleets. Earth's armies couldn't match the Dominion in a direct battle yet. But they didn't need to. They would keep hitting the enemy's weak spots, keep stealing their supplies, keep learning their secrets. The Dominion thought war was about who had the biggest ships and strongest weapons. Humanity was teaching them that war was really about who wanted to win the most. Lieutenant Mary Cooper watched through her ship's viewport as the secret meeting station came into view. The small outpost floated in deep space, far from both Earth and Dominion territories. Her hands were steady on the controls, but her heart raced. Everything depended on this mission. 3 days ago, Earth's intelligence teams had intercepted strange messages from a group called the Builders. These aliens were different from the rest of the Dominion. They were the ones who created most of the Empire's advanced technology, but they weren't warriors. And now, they wanted to talk. "Remember," Cooper told her small crew, "we're here to listen. The Builders reached out to us. They're risking everything just by meeting with us." The station's docking bay opened, revealing a sight no human had seen before. The Builders looked nothing like the warrior species of the Dominion. They were tall and slender, with 4 arms and skin that changed color like flowing water. Their large eyes studied the humans with what looked like curiosity rather than hatred. "We have watched your species," the lead builder said through a translation device. "You are different from the others the Dominion has fought." Cooper nodded, keeping her movements slow and peaceful. "We're fighting to protect our home. But we'd rather find a way to end this war without more death." The Builder's skin shifted to a deep blue color. "The Dominion thinks technology makes them superior, but we have seen how you take our creations and improve them in ways we never imagined. You adapt. You change. You grow." Inside the station's meeting room, the Builders showed Cooper their research. They had studied every battle, every human innovation. While the Dominion's warriors saw only enemies to crush, the Builders saw something that excited them, a species that could think differently. "The Dominion is fracturing," another builder explained. "Many of us question this war. Your humans survive in ways that should be impossible. You turn defeats into victories. You learn and improve faster than any species we've seen." Cooper listened as the Builders revealed more. They had been part of the Dominion for centuries, creating their ships and weapons, but they were tired of seeing their technology used only for conquest. Humans showed them a different path, creation and innovation born from necessity and determination. Back on her ship, Cooper sent an encoded message to Earth. The Builders weren't just questioning the war, they were willing to help end it. But they needed proof that humans would be better allies than masters. "Show us what humanity would do with peace," the lead builder had said. "Show us that you can create, not just fight." Earth's leaders acted quickly. They sent the Builders their medical research, their art, their music. They shared stories of how humans had overcome their own wars to work together. Most importantly, they showed how Earth had united against the Dominion, not out of hatred, but out of a desire to protect their right to grow and learn in their own way. The Dominion's council erupted into arguments when they learned of the Builders' doubts. Some wanted to punish the Builders for talking to humans. Others began to question everything about the war. The empire that had seemed so powerful began to crack from within. "Your weapons grow weaker every day," a Dominion commander complained to his builder engineers. "The humans adapt too quickly. They learn our weaknesses faster than you can fix them." "Perhaps," the builder replied, their skin glowing with hidden satisfaction. "That is because they deserve to learn." In her quarters on the meeting station, Cooper looked at the stars through the window. The Builders had given her more than just information. They had given humanity hope. The Dominion was strong because of their advanced technology, but that technology came from a species that now saw humans as equals, maybe even as something special. "Lieutenant," her communications officer called. "Message from Earth. They want to know what the Builders decided." Cooper smiled. She thought about all the battles, all the losses, all the times humans had refused to give up. Now their greatest victory might come not from fighting, but from showing the galaxy who they really were, a species that could face impossible odds and still dream of a better future. "Tell them," she said, "that the real war is just beginning. But this time, we're not fighting alone." General David Foster walked through the massive underground hangar, looking at the largest fleet humanity had ever built. 500 ships filled the space, each one carrying a piece of humanity's newest weapon. Some were captured Dominion vessels, rebuilt with human innovations. Others were Earth ships, powered by a combination of alien technology and human ingenuity. Operation Thunderstrike begins in 6 hours, he told the gathered pilots and crews. The Dominion thinks they know everything about us now. They think they've learned all our tricks. Today, we proved them wrong. The plan was bold, maybe even crazy, but humans had always done their best work when the odds seemed impossible. Every ship in the fleet carried a special device, built using secrets shared by the builders and improved by Earth's scientists. "All ships report ready, sir," his second-in-command reported. "The Dominion fleet is gathering exactly where we predicted. They're preparing for their final attack on Earth." Foster nodded. The enemy had gathered almost 1,000 ships, thinking their numbers would guarantee victory. They didn't know that Earth's magnetic field had been turned into a weapon. They didn't know that their own technology would be used against them. "Send the signal," Foster ordered. "Tell Earth Defense Command to start the magnetic pulse." Across the planet, hidden generators powered up. Earth's natural magnetic field began to pulse with new energy. In space, Dominion ships started to notice their systems acting strangely. But by then, it was too late. "Launch the fleet," Foster commanded. "Remember your training. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and don't stop until the job is done." 500 ships rose from secret bases around Earth. They flew in perfect formation, their hulls glowing with strange energy. The Dominion fleet spotted them and prepared to attack, not realizing they had already lost. "Activate the pulse devices," Foster ordered when they were in range. "Let's show them what humanity can really do." Every Earth ship activated their special weapon at the same time. The devices created a wave of energy that matched Earth's enhanced magnetic field. Together, they created something no one had ever seen before, a massive disruption field that turned the Dominion's own radiation-based technology against them. The effect was instant. Hundreds of Dominion ships lost power, their mighty weapons going dark. Others found their shields failing, their advanced systems crashing. The radiation they depended on had become their greatest weakness. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Foster commanded. "Target their command ships first." Earth's fleet moved like a swarm of angry bees. They struck fast and hard, using weapons that combined human and builder technology. Dominion ships fell one after another, unable to fight back at full strength. The mighty alien fleet that had conquered 1,000 worlds was being torn apart by the very species they had called primitive. In his flagship, the Dominion High Commander watched in horror as his fleet crumbled. "Impossible," he shouted. "They're nothing but savages. How can they do this?" The answer came from his own builder engineers. "They are not savages," one said, their skin glowing with approval. "They are something new, something that can take our greatest strengths and turn them into weaknesses. Perhaps that is why they deserve to win." The battle raged for hours. Earth lost ships too, brave crews who gave their lives to protect their home. But for every human ship that fell, 5 Dominion vessels were destroyed or captured. The aliens had never faced an enemy who fought with such determination, such unity of purpose. Foster watched from his command ship as the last Dominion vessels retreated. The space around Earth was filled with the wreckage of what had once been the mightiest fleet in the galaxy. Humanity had done what no other species had managed in 1,000 years. They had broken the Dominion's power. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them Operation Thunderstrike was a success, and tell them what we found in the captured ship's computers, the location of the Dominion's homeworld." The crews cheered at the news, but Foster remained quiet. They had won a great victory, but he knew the war wasn't over. The Dominion would be desperate now, more dangerous than ever. But humanity had proved something important. When their backs were against the wall, when the odds seemed impossible, they could achieve things that no one thought possible. "What are your orders, sir?" his second-in-command asked. Foster looked at the retreating enemy ships. "Prepare the fleet for repairs. The real fight is coming." And this time, we're taking the war to them. Captain James Walker stood on the observation deck of Earth's new space station, watching ships from a dozen alien worlds dock and depart. A year had passed since Operation Thunderstrike, and everything had changed. The massive station, built with both human and builder technology, served as the meeting point for the newly formed Galactic Council. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Commander Miller walked up beside him, her uniform now bearing the marks of both Earth Defense Fleet and the new Galactic Peace Force. 2 years ago, they wanted to wipe us out. Now, they're our trading partners. Walker smiled, remembering the final days of the war. After their defeat at Earth, the Dominion had split apart. The builders had openly sided with humanity, sharing their knowledge and technology. Other species, seeing Earth's victory, began to question their loyalty to the Empire. The Dominion's leaders are arriving for the peace ceremony, Miller said, checking her datapad. Never thought I'd see them come to Earth as guests instead of conquerors. The main council chamber was filled with representatives from 30 different worlds. Some had been part of the Dominion, others had been hiding from them. All of them had come to witness something unprecedented, the formal end of the Dominion Empire and the birth of something new. Look at their faces, Miller whispered as the former Dominion leaders walked in. They still can't believe they're signing a peace treaty with primitives. The Dominion's high commander, once so proud and arrogant, now looked old and tired. He stood before the council, his voice heavy with resignation. We were wrong about humanity, he admitted. We saw their limited space travel and thought them weak. We didn't understand that their true strength wasn't in their technology. Walker listened as the alien leader continued. Humans showed us something we had forgotten. They proved that true power comes from unity, from the will to survive, from the ability to adapt and grow. They defeated us not because they were stronger, but because they refused to accept defeat. The peace treaty was more than just an end to the war. It transformed the galaxy. The builders worked openly with human scientists, combining their knowledge in new ways. Earth's quantum shields and magnetic field technology were shared with other worlds. Trade routes opened up, and human ships began exploring far beyond their solar system. There's something you should see, Miller told Walker after the ceremony. She led him to a new section of the station where builder engineers worked side by side with humans. Remember how they used to call us primitive? Look what we've built together in just 1 year. The chamber held something impossible, a ship unlike anything ever seen. It combined builder precision with human innovation, Dominion power systems with Earth's protective technology. It was designed to explore deeper into space than any species had gone before. They're calling it the Unity, Miller explained. First of its kind, a ship that proves what we can achieve when we work together instead of fighting. Walker watched young officers from Earth training alongside alien crews. They were learning from each other, growing stronger together. Humanity had not only survived the war, they had changed the entire galaxy. Message from Earth Command, an officer called out. They're picking up strange signals from beyond the galaxy's edge. Might be signs of new life out there. Walker and Miller shared a knowing look. 2 years ago, strange signals had brought the Dominion to Earth as enemies. Now, Earth was ready to answer such calls as friends, protected by their determination and strengthened by their allies. Should we be worried? A young officer asked, looking at the signal data. No, Walker replied, thinking about how far they had come. Whatever's out there, we're ready for it. Not because we have the strongest ships or the best weapons. We're ready because we know who we are now. We're the species that faced extinction and turned it into an opportunity. We're the ones who prove that being called primitive doesn't mean you can't do extraordinary things. The station's vast window showed Earth glowing blue and green in the distance. Around it, ships from across the galaxy moved in peaceful patterns. Humanity had fought for their right to exist, and in doing so, they had found something greater than victory. They had found their place among the stars. So, Miller asked, what's our next adventure? Walker watched as the Unity's engines powered up for its first test flight. That's the best part, he said. We get to decide for ourselves. And this time, we're not alone.